Welcome back to A Screenwriter's Journey, day 112. This day I wrote for quite a bit longer, so I did do the 5x speed up here. I'm just looking at this, and I don't think I recorded literally everything I wrote because I missed a couple of paragraphs. Sometimes I do that. I start writing and I forget to hit the record thing, or I have the software open, but I don't start recording. Or sometimes I'll pause it, I'll go away and do something, I'll come back and start writing, and then I forget to start it. What I do, which is kind of silly, sometimes if I forget to start it, I'll undo as many times as I can, and then I'll hit record, and then I'll redo, and then it kind of gives the illusion that I'm writing. Unfortunately, occasionally when I do that, I don't know if I undo it too many times and then I can't re-undo whatever, or if you save the file. And anyways, so as I've said, this is not screenwriting per se, but it's part of the journey. And I've just got, I don't know how many pages, 7 pages right now of ideas based on this guy's notes. And so I think how I left yesterday, I was talking about, oh, wait a minute. So this is interesting. I was talking with someone who is a deputy U.S. Marshal on the phone, and these are my notes that I took while I was talking to her. I thought about asking her if I could record the conversation, but I figured that probably wouldn't be a great idea. So this went back to the writer that I sent it off to, who had a bunch of notes that kind of blew up my story. He said, well, have you talked to anyone there? And I said, well, I've done a lot of research, but no, I haven't. So he suggested to talk to someone. So as I mentioned, I had gotten a hold of someone like in the communications department, and they hooked me up, connected me with this woman whose name shall go unspoken and location shall go unspoken and all that stuff, but super nice. And so this is my notes when I was talking to her on the phone. And I quickly found out, as you see here, I knew she wasn't in WITSEC. And she goes, well, since I'm not, it's sort of a secretive, closed off thing, and I don't really know how they do what they do in the inner workings, so I can't really speak to that very much. So we talked about other stuff, and I kind of gave her the story as it was set out, and I think I remember talking about this already. And, oh my gosh, the guy with the leaves is back. Maybe he's doing ours. Let's hope. Otherwise, I got to do them later today. So where was I? Yeah, so I told her the story, and she had sort of said, oh, that sounds interesting. And I said, well, is it believable? And she kind of was on the fence politely. And I think as I told her, I don't know if I've talked about this in the voiceover, that the guy who gave me the notes said it doesn't necessarily have to be believable in real life, but the audience has to believe that it would happen that way. And his big problem, as I said, was that most likely, and I mean now that I think about it harder, the WITSEC would not have someone basically do what Holly did and basically pretend or play at being this girl's aunt for 14 years or whatever it is. And then there was some other stuff that didn't really work. But anyways, you can see all the notes I'm taking, and, kind of her career, what she did. And we just talked a lot, not only about her career, but I would say, well, would this happen? Or how does this happen? And, she was sort of giving me a way that maybe Holly, without being in WITSEC, which she wouldn't be at such a young age, which is another thing I kind of had glossed over in my script, how could she get involved in it? And as I think you can see in that second to last paragraph, you could get a temporary detail where they're moving a fugitive in your region and they don't want to bring a bunch of actual WITSEC people over, or maybe it's kind of a low not low priority, but low, security or the danger. You don't need a bunch of training. So she said you could certainly get like a 1 day or a 3 week detail in that situation, which gave me a lot of good ideas, which I'm going to write about over the next few days. And then she said something that was interesting that really got me thinking. You see there the missing kid cases. And you can see one that I wrote down. She found this kid in Greece who I think the mother had kidnapped, and they found the kid, brought him back to his father, who thought he was dead. And, she, after that day, she never knew if they lived happily ever after, what happened. And so that really got me thinking, that would be super interesting to explore the idea that maybe Holly, and this is kind of where my story is going, so I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but the idea that Holly meets the little girl through a similar circumstances in the current story. And then I'm thinking to myself, she could keep in contact with her without anyone's knowledge, sort of against the rules. Maybe, they communicate by phone, the girl's too little, by email. Maybe, she takes her out for ice cream once a month or once a year. And so in that way keeps in touch with her over the next many years, which maybe I've written elsewhere, or I'm going to write elsewhere. But so that was an idea. Or maybe she thought about staying in touch with her but never did because she just didn't feel like she should. And then when they get reunited by whatever circumstance, does she feel guilty about what happened, or how does the girl feel? How does Lexi feel about it? So that was a great conversation I had. I followed up with some emails with her. We're still exchanging emails, although she's obviously way too busy to answer all my questions, which I don't expect. And every time I get an email from her, it's like a Christmas present. So that is day 112. So in that way, a very fruitful day. I didn't write anything else in terms of the story that day, but that conversation with her was definitely a highlight of a screenwriter's journey.